What's happening, party people? This your guy Damien. Uh, Want to give you my UFC 200 review. Um, I kind of knew pretty much last minute that this card would be more of a kind of a toss up or so, uh, depending on how you look at it. Because of course, obviously, Jones is out. Therefore, Cormier still has a fight, and he fought against Anderson Silva. We'll get to that. We're gonna go in order with the fights. Um, but you know, the fight night on Thursday was pretty good. Crowned the new lightweight champ. Eddie Alvarez basically knocks out Dos Anjos. Um, I was rooting for Alvarez on that one, not just because he already won, but for real, I was rooting for Alvarez because I'm not really a fan of Dos Anjos. I don't really care too much about him, and I thought he kind of chickened out with some fake foot injury to go against McGregor because I think McGregor would have beat him, and McGregor would be the lightweight champ and the featherweight champ. Now, you got the Ultimate Fighter finale. That was Friday night. Pretty good. That championship fight with Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Claudia Gadelha, that might be the fight of the weekend, honestly. How I feel about it. It was a really good fight. I thought it was back and forth. Claudia early on in the first 2.5 rounds, takedowns were mean. Takedowns were mean, and plus with the ground and pound too, and then her rushing Joanna and pinning her up against the cage and everything. It was just Claudia's fight to lose, and unfortunately, she did in the decision. Now, getting to UFC 200, I'm not gonna do the prelims. I'm just gonna do the main card. So much hype. UFC talking about the biggest UFC event of all time. They'll probably say the same thing about that come UFC 300. And they'll probably do something kind of mini special for UFC 250 whenever that comes. But you have a card. The card looks great on paper, minus the Tate Nunes fight. I'll get to that one too. But the fight looks great on paper. And it looked even better with Jones on it, because you'd have Cormier and Jones, the main event, and Brock and Mark Hunt, the co-main event, or they would have had like Nunes and Tate. But anyway, enough of that dilly. Let's get right to it. UFC 200 at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas on July 9th. Started off with a bang. We're gonna go with the first fight. Cain Velasquez, former UFC champion, fighting Travis Brown. I think Travis Brown was like the number 8 heavyweight maybe, or like the number 6 or something like that. But this had all the potential to be a pretty interesting fight, because Travis Brown has knocked out some people and has won some spectacular fights, but he's even lost some spectacular fights too. So Travis Brown is like, floating around. He's more to me in a different sense of a mid-card type of heavyweight. Like, he's just not quite, ready for the championship thrill and aspect of it yet. But, that all remains to be seen. But Cain came out guns blazing. Cain just attacked. The minute the bell rung, Cain just attacked. And he was just relentless, staying on Travis Brown. Punches. A spinning heel kick, which is something that Cain doesn't do, but Cormier said that they do that in practice, and Cormier wished he doesn't do that to him, because they spar together. But Cain just looked unbelievably great. He looked unbelievably different, and he came back guns blazing, and got the finish in the first round over Travis Brown. Beat him with strikes. It kind of makes you think how good Cain looked. Okay, well, will he be next up in line for the winner of Stipe and Overeem? Or, like, will, what's his name? Gosh, Gosh, I can't remember his name. I don't know why I can't. But the other Brazilian, a former champion, not Verdun, but Dos Santos. That's it. Will Dos Santos get that next shot? Dos Santos and Kane, they're probably not going to fight anymore. Kane had beat him 2 times. Dos Santos beat him once, and then Kane dominated him 2 straight times after that. And so, they probably won't meet again. I'll be surprised if they do get to meet again to see who will be the number one contender. It'd be kind of strange. And you even throwing in the Black Beast. I know he's like number 12, but pretty much all the heavyweights up top have had their fights and close to their title shots and just didn't quite get that. This is why you can throw somebody like a Kane or Dos Santos or even the Black Beast or whoever, It all remains to be seen on that. But I do think that with Kane back and looking as crazy good as he was, the heavyweight division is going to be a little bit interesting. And I think that that remains to be seen on who's going to be next up. Because it could be Kane. That could be next up for Stipe or Overeem. So, Kane with the finish in the first round. Moving on to the second fight. Jose Aldo versus Frankie Edgar for the interim featherweight title. This fight, it went 5. But it was basically like a sparring match for Jose Aldo. I mean, don't get me wrong, Frankie Edgar is a great fighter. And, I wish him nothing but the best when it comes to his fight career. But this is the man that he just can't get past. There's things, he's just not strong enough. And Jose Aldo was just slipping past everything. And, it's unfortunate, The only way Frankie's going to probably be able to get another title is somehow maybe even dropping down another weight class or hoping that Jose and Conor eventually go up. Who knows? And then we'll go from there with that. So, but by decision, Jose Aldo, unanimous decision. Frankie Edgar basically was just kind of getting toyed with through the whole fight. So, Jose Aldo with the decision victory. Went the full distance, and he's the new interim UFC featherweight champion. And of course, obviously, as usual, he sought out Conor McGregor in the first row, trying to let him know that he wants him next, and he's gonna win, and yada yada yada. I think people gotta understand. Jose Aldo did look good against Frankie Edgar, but Frankie Edgar. And this is not a knock on Frankie Edgar, because you fight how you fight, what you do. And Frankie Edgar basically looked the same as he did before in the other fight. He moved side to side, come forward, throw some combos, back up, throw a kick here and there, come forward, throw combos, back up, throw a kick in there, moving around. It was almost like a routine type of fight. Like, Jose Aldo didn't have any type of a concern off of the movement or anything, because Frankie Edgar did the same thing. And it's ugly how that ended up being, because Edgar's a good fighter, but with certain fighters you can't do that type of stuff with, because like Frankie Edgar couldn't do that with Conor McGregor. And and it's unfortunate that Edgar, he's probably not going to get the title in featherweight. But it is what it is. Some fighters are just a little bit more special, and that's that. So Jose Aldo wins by decision. And of course, after watching the post fight interviews and such, Dana White has I'll get to that part at the end. I'll say all that stuff at the end. But moving on to Daniel Cormier and Anderson Silva. Of course, we all know Daniel Cormier was scheduled to have the super fight against John Jones. John Jones tested positive for a banned substance. Of course, the typical. I didn't know this, or I didn't know this was in my body, or how this got in my body, and stuff like that. As a person of a high level fighter, basically the number one pound for pound fighter on the planet, and you've been doing this for years, and you never tested positive for anything besides cocaine, which you knew cocaine was in your system at that time, but you never tested positive for anything different like that. Why now? I can actually tell you guys why now. I have the answer for that. It's very simple. If you guys saw the John Jones versus St. Preux fight, that lets you know right there. He went 5 rounds with St. Preux. And St. Preux didn't really do anything. If you watch Ovin St. Preux's fights, he's very mellow. He walks up on you and he throws bombs. He doesn't do anything as far as with movements. He throws kicks, but all his stuff is right in front of you. Now, John Jones didn't look like the normal John Jones from that fight. He just looked like another fighter. There was none of the special stuff, the spectacularness. He didn't land some of the special stuff. He just missed and stuff. So it's just, John Jones is not the same fighter as he used to be. And now I think he's really not going to be the same fighter. Because it just is what it is. And well, first of all, we don't even know if he's even going to be back, because they did even the sample testing. In the sample testing, he still was positive on that. So let me get back on track. That's a bunch of hot garbage. John Jones, I'm really not even concerned about what his future lies in fighting. But we'll talk about that another time. But the fight, Daniel Cormier versus Anderson Silva. The third fight of the night on the main card. Daniel Cormier, in my opinion, he weighed 206. Anderson Silva weighed 198.5. In my opinion, and this is what I truly think, that Daniel Cormier did not want to really hurt Anderson Silva, because there was an unbelievable amount of opportunities he could have literally destroyed Anderson Silva. He'll never tell you that he didn't do what he needed to do, but I can tell you one thing though. I can see it for myself. Daniel Cormier could have literally destroyed him. And we'll never know that, that whole deal or truth or anything, which is fine. Not a big deal, but, we pretty much know how that's going to end up being. But Daniel Cormier, I guess you could say, pretty much dominated. Took Anderson down, kind of grounded and pounded him. Anderson kind of held him a little bit. Therefore, Cormier couldn't really do some real work. People, if you don't like those type of fights, then you just don't like fighting in general. Because Daniel Cormier had him down, but Daniel Cormier was still working. He was still working. So, they pulled him up, which was kind of weird at one point. But I know they were trying to give Anderson Silva a chance to strike and everything. And Anderson Silva was getting his strikes in and everything. But, I mean, come on. You got DC coming at you, smiling. You knew that wasn't doing anything to DC. Now, he did take a kick at the end of the fight to the gut. And, Daniel kind of winced. But you don't play around when it comes to fights. You don't do basically what Anderson did at one point and not take some stuff seriously, not doing the things he needs to do to try to win the fight the right way. Daniel's not going to sit here and try to trade with Anderson. Look, Anderson might have lost, 2 out of 3 fights, or 2 out of 4. I think he's like 0-3-1 or something like that with the no contest. But he's not going. You just can't do that. You don't play around like that. You just handle your business, get the win, and get out of there. Because that wasn't even the original opponent you were supposed to fight. So, if people were not too happy about Cormier and what he was doing. Listen, people, watch the fight. Cormier wasn't just laying on him. Anderson Silva was holding on to Daniel Cormier. Cormier was getting the elbow on the throat, trying to drop the elbows while he's on top, trying to hit him. Daniel Cormier was not just laying on Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva had his right leg wrapped up, and Anderson Silva was holding him up top. Come on. Come on. So for those of you who are saying that Daniel Cormier, he just held him, he couldn't, get, his leg out of that hold. Who cares? Daniel Cormier is a bigger guy. He would have been fine just staying on him the whole fight, trying to grind it out. That's what they do over there at AKA. They grind it out. If they don't get you on the feet, they'll take you down and beat you down. So, for those who are saying that, Daniel Cormier, look, you're going in there to win a fight. You have your game plan, and you do it. Point blank, period. Daniel Cormier with the decision victory, 3 rounds. It wasn't a title fight, obviously. But, they both respect each other, and they're very thankful that Anderson got the fight and that he got Anderson to come in and take the fight. So, it wasn't the greatest match, but you know what? It was it wasn't the greatest fight, I'm sorry. But, it was a fight. And Daniel Cormier got the fight on UFC 200 to get the big check and continue to do what he does best, take care of his family and such. All right? Now, on to, I like to call the co-main event of the evening, even though Bruce Buffer didn't say that. This, to me, was the fight that I was really, really looking at. And that's Brock Lesnar versus Mark Hunt. Brock Lesnar hasn't fought in 5 years in the octagon. There's a difference being in the octagon and being in the WWE ring. The conditioning's a lot different. You still got to condition a good amount for WWE, but you have to condition and train very differently for the UFC because you're training to kill and not to be killed. Brock Lesnar stuck to a game plan, executed it perfectly, and there's no complaints to that. Why? And I've also heard complaints about, well, he kept trying to take Hunt down. I don't understand what you guys... I have a problem with people that want to take people down and not do anything but just lay on them, dry hump them. But you can't have a problem for Brock Lesnar, a wrestler who wrestled Mark Hunt to the ground and grounded and pounded him out. Why would you want to try to strike with a person who can knock you out off of one swing? He is a very dangerous fighter. He was 12-10, but he's 12-11 now. But still, he can knock you out. Simple as that. You can get knocked out by Mark Hunt at any point in time. Whether it's a big shot, whether it's a short shot, it doesn't matter. Point of the matter is, Lesnar versus Hunt. It goes all the way to decision. No-brainer. Unanimous decision. Brock Lesnar gets the victory. Brock Lesnar looked absolutely great in that fight. He looked like he was in the best shape of his life. He's moving around, hopping around. He was very explosive. Threw the shots he needed through. Got the takedowns. And when he took down Mark Hunt, he took him down. He didn't pick him up over the head and dip him and everything, but, he grabbed his leg and just whipped it out from underneath and dropped him on the mat. Wrestled him out, grounded and pounded. It's pretty much what you can say about that. The fight ended in the 3rd round with Lesnar on top. I think Lesnar hit him like 30, 40 straight times in the head while on the ground. Mark Hunt is a very, very tough guy. Very tough guy. But Brock Lesnar is a killer. And, who knows what could have happened if he had never got the diverticulitis. Who knows what could have happened. Anything could have happened. But, Brock Lesnar looked absolutely great and dominant. This man right now is getting paid in a 2-3 month period, probably a 2 month period, this man is getting paid. I'm pretty sure he got a fat check from UFC last night. And of course, obviously, he's under contract with WWE, and he's getting paid well over there. He has SummerSlam coming up against Randy Orton in August. It's you got a lot going on with that guy right now. He's making a lot of money at this period right now. It's just like people, you gotta appreciate things like this. Brock Lesnar reached out to Dana, wanted to fight. He wasn't done fighting. He couldn't finish his career like that, and he didn't. He got back in there, fought a very tough opponent who's knocked out great fighters, and he dominated Mark Hunt. No disrespect to Mark Hunt, but Mark Hunt had gotten dominated. He got took down and pounded out. And I like to see what these fighters' faces look like the next morning. I like to see what Edgar looked like the next morning. Hunt's face, even though he does have a big face already, but it's going to be even bigger. And Miesha Tate's face. So, Brock Lesnar looked absolutely great. He's still under contract with the WWE. A lot of people are starting to sit here and get worried. Oh my God, his contract's up. He's probably not going to re-sign. I'm not really worried about that. I think Brock will re-sign because they're going to eventually have a WrestleMania in Minnesota one of these next 2 years. So I think when that one happens, I think he'll probably walk away from the WWE. Unless he can keep going and he just have that contract and get paid like how The Undertaker is, that once a year shot. And then that would just be, that would just be cool. So what you basically have is pretty much a scary moment for fans. Don't be scared, people. He's still with WWE for the whole year, which means that he'll be in WrestleMania. Just depends on who he'll be facing at WrestleMania. After that, I don't know how that goes, but I think that I don't think Brock Lesnar is going to retire yet. I think he'll do it after the WrestleMania that's going to be in Minnesota, and that has to be in the next 2 to 3 years. It has to be. So, and I don't know if he'll win that match or not. Maybe he will. It remains to be seen. But yeah. So Brock Lesnar, victorious over Mark Hunt, one-sided affair pretty much. Mark Hunt barely got any offense off, if he got any off. Now we go to the main event of the evening, which I thought, in my opinion, shouldn't be the main event. And I'm not knocking it because it's women, people. I'm knocking it because Miesha Tate is not that fighter that, like, Ronda Rousey was, that brings the excitement, that has that it factor and everything. Miesha Tate is, to me, and I know this is going to sound like a bash session to Miesha Tate, but I know Dana's got to feel the same way too. I know Dana White has to feel the same way too. It irritated me. Miesha Tate irritates me because she looks good, gets dominated by Ronda Rousey. Then she pulls off some type of win against Holly Holm, which I still think that's a fluke loss on Holly Holm. And then she just literally gets dominated last night against Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes embarrassed her royally. Miesha Tate's supposed to be your women's bantamweight champ. Supposed to be the baddest woman on the planet. No, the baddest woman on the planet just embarrassed the champ royally. And I'm not going to put Ronda Rousey in there with the baddest woman on the planet until she beats... Well, I'll put it like this. Holly Holm, to me, was the baddest woman on the planet. And I still think that she is. She was beating Miesha Tate until Tate got that takedown at the end and choked her out. Otherwise, Holly Holm would have had another victory. And it would have been Holm and Nunes. But, I just think that that should not have been the main event. They should have had this Lesnar and Hunt stay at the main event spot. That's the main attraction. That's the one that I'm pretty sure probably half the people in the arena, came to see. Was that one? It was just embarrassing. Miesha Tate tried a couple of takedowns. They got stuffed, and I think she lost her edge when that happened. Because she probably thought she could take down Amanda Nunes real easy and real quick. And then here's the thing. Nunes got, some jiu-jitsu. So she didn't even really do her ground game. I don't know how you automatically think. You can't automatically think this person that you're fighting is gonna go like how your last fight went. No. That can't happen. With Amanda Nunes, you should have been trying to figure out some stuff. You should have been moving around a little bit. You should have tried to at least get close. Maybe try a takedown. But, with a person like Amanda Nunes, who works on her ground game as well, people don't really know that. And see, this is another thing. A lot of people didn't even know who Amanda Nunes is or was or anything like that. Pretty much in this week, people had to kind of look up her matches or something like that. That's why if you probably go to like YouTube, you probably see a lot of Amanda Nunes, searches and stuff. You probably will. It just didn't really make any sense to me why that was the main event. But I guess Dana, wanted to do something good for Tate. I guess probably in the hopeful sense that, she wins her fight. However, maybe even convincingly, and we have a new face. And Miesha Tate, she basically looks like a real woman out of that division. Like everybody else pretty much has them fighter type of bodies and muscular builds and stuff like that. But Miesha Tate pretty much is the only one out of that division that looks like, like a woman. So, I could understand if they want to try to make her the face of women's fighting. But, that's just not the case. Because you have to be a remarkable fighter. She's got, I don't even know how many losses she has, but she has a whole heck of a lot more than Rousey and Holm. Rousey and Holm only have one loss each. And Miesha Tate, I think, has like, I don't know, maybe like 6, 7 losses, something like that. Maybe 8, who knows. That's not your baddest woman on the planet. It's not. So, as disappointing as that was, Amanda Nunes, the new women's bantamweight champion, complete domination of Miesha Tate. Miesha Tate's nose might be broke. I think Amanda Nunes might have broke her hand or wrist. I'm not sure. Either way, she's not going to be fighting for a while anyway. It's pretty much big time dominance. And I was rooting for Nunes because I'm just sick of Miesha Tate. And people are making a big deal about Miesha Tate. Miesha Tate is an average fighter. Average. Kat Zingano finished her. All I got is this: Miesha Tate is just an average fighter, and she's a fraud fighter. A fake. Her win against Holly Holm should have never happened. And, I'm probably digging in, and I'm probably digging in deep, but you know what? You got to do that sometimes with just how you feel. And how I feel about that is she should have never been that main event. She should have actually been like the first or second fight. And I don't mean to be really disrespectful like that, but Miesha Tate is not no main event person. She's not. And then people that barely even knew who Amanda Nunes was, why would you make that? It just boggled my mind with that. That's probably like the weakest thing that Dana and everybody thought of for UFC was to put that as a main event. With Cormier and Silva out, Cormier and Silva probably even could have been the co-main event. Who knows? But, Miesha Tate irritated me. She's a fraud. And how are you going to go from almost quitting a year ago, then you win the championship, then at the after fight interview, I'm going to go take some time. I'm going to come back strong and better. Okay. That's pretty much what all the fighters say when they lose. I'm going to come back stronger and better. Okay. Okay. You're gonna come back stronger and better. Okay. So, and that was it with UFC 200. Talking about some things. Uh, Ronaldo's hurt. Ronaldo's hurt. Hmm. But so you have okay. So FS1, the post fight interviews with Jay Glazer, Dominic Cruz, Brian Stan, and what's his name, Michael Bisping. They had interviewed Dana White. Dana White came up and talked to the guys, and you know he pretty much said that whenever Ronda Rousey comes back, she'll get the title shot. So her first fight back will be a title shot. I guess she deserves it. I don't know, but then Holly Holm, whatever. I don't know. That remains to be seen. But anyway, though, he talked to Michael Bisping, and Michael Bisping basically put out there that he wants to fight Dan Henderson next, where he got knocked out cold at UFC 100. So, Bisping and Henderson, they're gonna go. They're gonna go again, and then of course, Jose Aldo will have Conor McGregor, and I don't know. I think that I think that there's a lot of good fights still to come. A lot of good fights still to come. The heavyweight division is going to be kind of interesting, and then also even more interesting when if Brock Lesnar decides to come back and have another fight. Who will he fight next? Uh, how will that play out? Go from there. Um, and then so Dominic Cruz, they don't really have anybody for him to fight, but Cruz is open to going up to 145 and fighting for the belt. That would be good. I'd like to see him do that. I really would. Um, on another note, in the prelims, Dillashaw, you know, kind of looked like himself, but he just hasn't been the same since he left Uriah's camp. I'm sorry. I'm keeping it real. He went with Dwayne Ludwig, and, it was pretty much like a thief in the night type of steal. Dillashaw, he's the champ, had his time, his moments. Dominic Cruz came in, outboxed him, outmoved him, outsped him, and, you know, that's it. So, I'm going to go in this video. I don't know what my next review will be on. Who knows? It could be for that SmackDown, the draft, and the brand split and everything for that, which we have about a couple weeks to go on that, I think. Yeah, a couple weeks to go on that one. So, all right, party people. Uh, Make sure you subscribe to my channel. And if you'd be kind enough to donate just because you just want to do something nice, then go ahead and do that. Hit that like button, please. And I'm going to try to get more content out. Not just only just for wrestling, maybe some other stuff also, too. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. But I'm not going to talk about bad stuff that's going on in the news. That just brings down the mode and the mood and such. And I'll leave that for CNN and all that stuff for them people to cover, and you guys can check out that stuff there. I'm not going to do that on this. I'd talk about stuff that's, takes your mind away from all the bad stuff in the world. But people, please come together. Please be safe. Whatever it is that's going on in the minds of officers and going on in the minds of people trying to retaliate against officers, understand. Think before you react. Please think before you react. All right? All right, party people. I am out. Talk to you guys later.